Hello everyone, I'm Vivian and you're welcome to my channel, McVivi Creations. So I say a very big welcome to you all. On this channel, these are what I upload. So today we'll be making a princess dart bustier blouse with peplum and puff sleeve, okay? So it's going to be a quick one just in case you want to quickly achieve a princess dart bustier blouse with peplum. This is just for you. So if you're new to this channel, do well to hit on that subscribe button and also turn on the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of my upcoming videos. So now let's get to work. You are most welcome. I have my fabric folded here. So I've placed it on fold. So the length of fabric I cut out is the bust measurement, okay, divide by 4. Then I added extra 4 inches to it. So the extra 4 inches is for the dart and the seam allowance, okay? So now let's proceed. I've marked the top. So this is just, because the fabric is not even at the end, at the top. So I just marked a starting point. So from this starting point, I'll be placing my vertical measurement. So I said it will be with peplum. So the top would stop at the waist, which is 17 inches, but I'll add ½ inch for joining it to the lower part, for joining it to the peplum. So that is 17.5. So this is the half length. So I'll just extend the line. So I have it there. So next I'll place the shoulder measurement. The shoulder is 15 inches, okay? So divide by 2, that is 7.5. So 7.5 plus ½ inch for joining it to the sleeve. So that is 8 inches, okay, for the shoulder. So for my neckline, I'll be taking 4.5 as the width. So 4.5 as the width and 5 as the depth. Okay, so I have it there. So you can take whatever neckline you want. You can make it as deep as you want, as wide as you want. Okay, so that is it. So I want to be sure I have my 4.5 here. So this is it. So this is my neckline. So I hope the mark is showing. So the chalk is almost the same color with the fabric. So now I will come down by 1 inch from the shoulder measurement here. So I'm coming down by 1 inch for the shoulder slope. Then I'll connect that to the neck depth. Okay. I'm trying to make the chalk bold so that I can see it. You can see what I have. So this is my shoulder slope. Now from this shoulder slope, I'll place my armhole length. Okay. So the armhole length is still the same measurement I have on my shoulder. So that is my armhole length. That is 8 inches. 8 inches. So you can also use this formula to get your armhole length. That is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5. Okay. So bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5. So that will give you your armhole length. So mine is 8 inches. So I would connect that. Okay, so I have it there. So now at this point where the armhole line stopped, that is the chest. That is where will be the upper bust or the chest line. So at that point, I'll place my bust circumference there. Okay, so bust circumference divided by 4. Okay, that is what I'll place there, which is 9 inches. So 9 inches. Then I'll add half inch for ease at the armpit area. So 9.5 is what I'll mark there. Okay, so this is my chest line, also known as the upper bust. Okay, so this is it here. So have that. Now I would also mark my bust point from this starting point here. The bust point is 10 inches, and I have it here. Okay, so this is bust points. So let me just extend the line. So this is the bust point. So now I'll create my armhole curve. Okay, so to do that, I'll just mark the midpoint of this line, which is 4 inches. Then I'll come in by half inch. So you can come in by either 1 or half inch. So I'll be using half inch here. Okay, or 0.7 inches. That was 0.7. Okay, so 0.5. So I make it 0.7. Okay, so that is it there. Now I'll connect these points up here. That is to the shoulder slope. Just connect it to the shoulder slope. Then you make a curve to this chest line. So this is it. Okay, so now after making my armhole, so I can make my neckline. So for my neckline, I'll just make it the way I want it. I want it a little bit deeper, so I'm not using French curve. So this is my neckline. So now I want to create my princess darts. Okay, so but before then, let me add my shoulder seam allowance. So from this neck depth here, you come up by half inch. Then from the shoulder slope here, you come up by half inch. So this is just for joining at the shoulder. So you need the shoulder seam allowance. So I'll connect it like so. Okay. So I have it there. So that's my shoulder seam allowance. So trying to mark it well so that you can see the marks. Okay, so I have it there. So now I'll place my princess dart. So to do that, I'll take my bust span. Okay, I have placed my bust measurements, that is bust point. I would also place my under bust point. So under bust point is 14. Okay, that is 14. So you can just place all these points before you start drafting other things. You place your bust point, your under bust, and your waist, okay, or half length. So this is the bust point. So we need this is the under bust point. So I need it for my princess dart. Now to create my dart, I'll take my bust span, that is nipple to nipple, divide by 2. So mine is 4 inches, but I'll be adding half inch because of the joining. You know, by the time we cut, to be joining it. So I have a video on this channel, okay, where I showed how to draft this on paper. So this is just a quick one, drafting directly on fabric. So I'm marking my bust point. That is the bust span. Okay, I'm marking the bust span. I marked at the bust point, under bust, and at the waist. Okay, so I'll make a line there. So bust span divided by 2, that is nipple to nipple divided by 2 plus half inch. That is what I've marked here. Okay, so I have it there now. So from this point now, I'll mark 2 inches on this side and 1 inch on this side. Okay, so the reason for this is to get your bust curve. So the easiest way to get it is your bust circumference minus your under bust circumference. Okay, your bust circumference minus your under bust circumference, whatever you have there, divide it by 2. So if you divide it by 2, you place 1 on this side, that is 1 inch on this side, and you place the remaining inch on this side. Okay, so for example, now my bust circumference is 36, while the under bust is 32. So 36 minus 32, that is 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Okay, so that 2 now, that 2, I'll place it here. Then half of it is what I'll place here. I hope this is clear. Your bust circumference minus the under bust. So this will give you a nice cup for the bust. Bust circumference minus the under bust. Whatever you have, divide it by 2. So when you divide by 2, half of that figure is what you place at this side. Then you place the main figure at this side. Like I said, mine, the difference between the bust and the under bust is 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So I'll mark that 2 here. Then I'll place half of 2 here, which is 1. Okay, so at this side, I'll come to the under bust. Okay, so I'll mark 2 inches here, and I'll mark 1 inch here. Okay, then at the waist also, I'll mark 2 inches here, and I'll mark 1 inch here. Okay, so at the bust point now, I'll come down by 1 inch. So I'm coming down by 1 inch. Then I'll connect all these points. So first of all, just connect this one straight. Connect this one straight. Okay, so by the time I've done this, I'll now use my curve. I'll make a curve connecting this point to this point here, like so. So from this under bust to this 1 inch step down from the bust, you just make a curve. So I have it here. Okay, so make a curve. While on this side, you can just connect it like so. Okay, so I hope you're seeing what I'm marking here. So let me just mark it out very well. So this one is a curve to accommodate the bust. So we have this, we have created the dart here. Now to the armhole dart. For the armhole dart, you just measure your armhole. Don't include this seam allowance, this shoulder seam allowance. Don't include it, just the armhole curve. That's what you measure. So by the time you have measured it, mine is 10. Okay, so I'll mark the midpoint. So the midpoint is 5. I'll mark it. So now at this midpoint, I'll mark 1 inch on this side and 1 inch on this other side. Okay, so whatever you used on this side can be applied here. So that is it. Now by the time I have marked, what I'll do now, this first mark here, that is the midpoint of my armhole, I'll just connect it to my bust point. First of all, connect it to my bust point like so. Okay, so that is it. Now to eliminate the sharp edge at the bust, so that is to eliminate the sharp pointing at the bust, what I will do, on this line I have connected to the bust point, I'll come up by half inch, by 1 inch. So I'll come up by 1 inch. Okay, so this 1 inch step up now, that is where I will now connect these other ones. Remember, this is the midpoint. I marked 1 inch on this side and 1 inch on this side. So now I'll connect them to this 1 inch step up from the bust. Then this one too, connect. Okay, so by the time I have done this, I'll now make a curve connecting this curve and this point here. That is just making a curve like so. So here I have my bust curve. So I hope you can see this. So this is it. Okay, this is my princess dart bust curve. So by the time I have done this, the next thing now is to create my allowance. Now I have to extend this line, because if I cut it out, it will not match up with this again. So whatever I took here is what I will extend the line by. So I took 1 inch on this side and 1 inch here, that is 2 inches. So I will extend this line here by 2 inches. Okay, I'll extend it by 2 inches, and on this side too I'll add the 2 inches. So this is it. Okay, plus my 1 inch seam allowance. So now I'll make a new armhole. So the new armhole, okay, is connected here to the chest line. Okay, that is it, to the chest line. So that's my new armhole. Okay, so you can see this. So this is the new armhole, the chest line. So after coming up here, I still came out here by 2 inches, okay, at the chest line. Then I make my new armhole. So this 2 inch step up and the 2 inch, you now connect them to form your new armhole. Okay, so that is it, to form your new armhole. So let me curve it well. So I hope this is clear. Hope it's not confusing. So now I'll place my round measurements. So here we already have the bust measurement, okay, at the chest line. So that covers up for the bust. Now for my under bust, the under bust is 32 divided by 4, that is 8. So first of all, I'll mark my 8 inches. Then I'll replace this 3 inches dart. So that is it, 3 inches. Then my 1 inch seam allowance. So I have it there. Then for my waist, 33 divided by 4, that is 8.25. 8.25. This is it. Plus the 3 inches dart, because you have to replace your dart. Okay, plus 1 inch seam allowance. I have it there. So I'll just connect everything. So I have it there. So now I will just cut it out. Okay, so by the time I cut it out, it will be clearer to you. So this is it. Okay, so it's going out like this, and this is the neckline. This is it. So I have it here. So this is my princess dart bustier. Okay, so the next thing now, I'll notch this bust point. This is my bust point, so I'll notch it so that when sewing I'll know that this is the bust point, so we'll be able to match it up. So notch here and you notch here too. So just notch the bust point. So I have it there. So now I would cut the back. So the back is just simple. Okay, so I will cut the back. So for the back, I just placed it. Okay, I just used the front panel and placed on my back fabric. So what I'm doing is to eliminate the bust cup, because we don't have bust at the back. So what I am doing now is just pushing the bust cup under the center piece. Okay, that is the front center piece. Then matching it up like this, so that I can just cut out the back without it having cup. So you can see the cup under. So I just pushed it that way. So I'll just cut everything out the way it is, and we'll have the back. Okay. Now after cutting every other thing out, this is the midpoint here. This is the center where I would create my darts. Okay, so it will just go straight to the armhole, mid of the armhole, like so. So now I'll also take note of my chest line. Okay, we'll take note of my chest line. This is it here. Okay, so that is where I would mark my bust span. Okay, so that is 4.5 at the chest line. That is where the back dart will start. So just connect it to the mid armhole like so, then connect it down. Okay, so it's just simple like this. So now I'll just cut it out, and this is my back dart. So by the time I join it back, it will give the fitting. So I just have it there. So this is my back panel. So you can see this, and this is the front. So there is the back, and this is the front. Okay, so that is it. So you can still notch it at this chest line, so that when you are joining it, you know that that is where they are supposed to meet. Okay, so just notch. So this is just it about drafting the Princess Dart Bustier Blouse. Okay, so this is the top part. I'll also cut the peplum, and I'll cut the lining for it and the wording for it. Okay, so I want to cut the wording for it, for padding it. Okay, so I'm just making a quick one. I'm not going to use interfacing. I'm not going to add interfacing, just a quick blouse. Okay, so I'll just cut out the wording for it. So I've placed the fabric, the wrong side of fabric, facing the fusible side of the wording, though it might not go on, but I'm not after that. It's just to use it to pad, and this is a medium weight wording, so I'll be doubling it. Okay, after cutting, so I've placed it to get to the under bust, just a little bit under the bust. That is where it will stop. Okay, so what I'll do is just go ahead and cut it out. Then at this, for this middle one, the wording will not get to the top here, so to get like 1 inch, to stop like 1 inch before the top. So I'll just mark it. That's where it will get to. So I'll just mark it. Okay, so that is where it will get to. Then this one also, I don't want it to get to the armhole, so it will just stop here. Okay, so that is it. And same with this one, so I can just use this one to cut this other side. So just place it like this. Now use it to cut this other one. So I have it here, and this one I'll just cut it out from here. Okay, so I have it. So like I said, I want to have double of this wording, so I'll just cut out another one. So that is just what I will do. So I'll just double it. So after doubling it, I have it here. So what I'll do now is to stitch together. Okay, so you see the reason why I said you should notch your bust point. So that will really help you. So you just place it like so, bust point to bust point. Okay, and you stitch. So just hold it down with pin at that point. So to make it easy for you, you can just pin it down all through before you start stitching. So you just have it down like so, you stitch, then you also stitch and have everything down. So I'll go ahead and stitch. So I have fixed my wording, and so I'll just notch it. Then I'll use my ironing board to iron it out. So you can see what I have here. can see this. Okay, so you can see it. This is a princess dart bustier. Okay, so I would notch it like I said at this back here. So I have it here. So I'll use my ironing board under. Okay, so I'll just place it under it and iron it out. So like I said, this is just a quick one, just making a fast or a quick blouse. So I'm not following all the procedures. So I have it here. Okay, so you can see this. You can see how standing it is. So now I would line it up, fix the zipper at the back, then cut the flay. Okay, so I'll just take everything step by step like that. So I have joined my lining and also joined the back to the front. Okay, so I use black lining because that is what is handy, and I have, you know, black hair, and I'll be embellishing the dress or the blouse with black accessories, so the lining does not really matter for now. And then, like I said, it's a very quick one. This is just to give you idea of how to make your princess darts. Okay, so as for the finishing, I'll be making a video on how to achieve your inseam finishing. That is the finishing whereby you won't see the seam at all. Okay, you won't see the seam. So for now, it's just a quick one. So having done all this, I would now measure my waistline and I would cut my flay. Okay, that is a peplum. So I'll just measure what I have here, which I already know because it should be my waist measurement. Yes, 32. So I would cut my flay. So the waist measurement here is 32. Okay, so to cut my flay, I have a video on that in this channel, how to cut 360-degree flay. So you place your fabric on fold. Okay, so you first of all fold like this, then you fold like this. So after marking the radius, now I would also mark the length of my flay. Okay, which is 10 inches. So that 10 inches includes the hem allowance. Okay, so this is it. So I have my flay here. So now I'll cut it out. Okay, so I'll just cut it out. So I've cut my flay and this is what I have. Okay, so this is my 360-degree flay. So now I'll cut the lining for it. So I'll just use it like this and cut the lining. So after stitching my lining to the flay, I'll then attach it to the top. Okay, so I'll just notch the midpoint of the flay. So I'll just notch the midpoints. So after notching the midpoint of the flay, I would also notch the midpoint of the top. So you just notch it. So after notching the midpoint, now I would join them together. Okay, so from the midpoint, make sure your lining is there. So I'll go ahead and stitch it all round. So I've joined the peplum, and you can see what I have here. So I've also fixed the zipper. So now I would make the sleeve. Okay, so I would make the sleeve. I would make the sleeve. So this is our top. So for my sleeve, I'll be using doll face satin. So that's what I'll be using, and the sleeve will be sort of a puff sleeve. Okay, so it will be a puff sleeve. So there are different ways of making puff sleeves. There are different ways, okay, but I'll just be using the simplest method. Like I said, this video is just, you know, a very fast one, that is just to come up with a dress quickly. So I'm not following all the protocols of sewing. You must iron, you must inseam and all that. So I'm just, you know, like when you have an emergency sewing or something we call express, so you want to just sew it quickly. So that's what I'm doing. So now for my sleeve, the top, at the top side will just be, you know, the way we make our basic sleeve. I have a video on this channel on how to make a basic sleeve. Okay, so at the top, first of all, I'll take my sleeve length. So I'll first of all mark my sleeve length. Okay, so my sleeve length is 13 inches. So before doing that, I want to, so I'll make a mark, just, you know, as a starting point, because the edge of my fabric is not equal. So this is my starting point. Okay, this is my starting point. So I would, from there, I would mark my length. I'll mark the length of my sleeve, which is 13. The length of my sleeve is 13. So I'll add about 2 to 3 inches for hemming, because I'll be using elastic, and this is the one I have handy. So it's up to 1 inch. So I'll have to create a space for it. Okay, so to create the space, I'll need like 2 inches. Then I'll still need extra for folding. So you can also make use of the smaller elastic, but this is what I have handy. So 13 inches is the length. So I would add, to be on the safer side, I will use 3 inches for my folding, because I'll fold it and create the space for my elastic to pass through. So I'll use 3 inches. Okay, so that is 16 inches all together. So that is it. Okay, so I would extend the line. So I have it there. So now this is the length of my sleeve. So now I'll take my cap's height, my sleeve cap's height. I've given that severally on this channel. So mine is 4. So that is your sleeve cap's height, the top of the sleeve. To get it is your bust circumference divided by 12 plus 0.5. Okay, so mine is 4 inches. So still on the 4 inches, because I want to draw a line. So on this line of my cap's height, I would place my armhole length. So my armhole length is 8 inches. So I'll just add, let me add 1 inch for ease at the armpit area. So I'm marking at 9. Okay, so I've not added my allowance, that is seam allowance. Now I'll connect this point to this top. So just connect the points. So I have a video on this channel on how to make your basic sleeve. Okay, so you can check that out. It's detailed. So now I'll measure this. I have 10 inches, so I'll mark the midpoint. This is the midpoint. So at that midpoint, I'll come up by ½ inch. Okay, so this is it. Now I will connect it to this point here. So I'll just connect it to this point. Then I'll make a curve from this point to this point. So you can do that with your French curve, you can do it with your free hand. So let me use my French curve to connect it. So just connect it to this edge. So I have it there. So from this downside also, I will also connect to this edge too. Because of the front sleeve is deeper than the back. That is, the front side of the sleeve is deeper than the back. So that is what I'm creating. Then still from that midpoint, I'll now make a curve down to meet the edge here. So just make a curve. Okay, and I have it there. So when you watch my video on how to make a basic sleeve, it's very clear there, you understand it. Now, having done this, I'll add my seam allowance. My seam allowance, so I'll use 1 inch for my seam allowance. Now, like I said, I want to make a puff sleeve. So instead of placing my round sleeve here, that is my actual round sleeve, I would extend it. Normally, if I'm making a basic sleeve, what I'll do at this point, my round sleeve is 12. So I would have just marked, that is 12 divided by 2, that is 6. I would have just marked at 6 inches, then add my seam allowance, then I would connect. Okay, I would have just connected it this way. This is to get a basic sleeve. So, but like I said, I'm making a puff sleeve, so it's going to be sort of a puff. So instead of having it this way, I'll just extend it. Okay, so I'll just extend it. So there are different ways of doing this. Some people use the slash and spread method. Okay, so I'm just doing it straight. So I'll just open it up. Okay, like so. So depending on how full you want it, you can extend it more. So let me extend it more, because I want it very full and I have it here. Okay, so I'll go ahead now and cut. I'll cut it out, and when I cut it out, I'll fold it, then fix my elastic. So after cutting this particular one, I'll use it to cut the other sleeve, because I'm making the 2 sleeves. So I'll just cut it. So I'll open it up now, and I'll cut the front, which is this other one. So I have it here. So this is my sleeve. So I'll cut this other one of it. So I've cut it out. I have my 2 sleeves here. So the next thing now is to hem it. So I'll just fold it by ½ inch, then fold by the length of the that is the allowance I took, and making sure that it is wide enough to take my elastic. Okay, so I'll just fold it to be able to accommodate my elastic. So that is it. So I'll do that and I'll show you. So I've sewn it, that is, I've hemmed it. Okay, so what I'll do now is to cut my elastic. So I'll just cut the length of my round sleeve. Okay, so the length of my round sleeve is 12. So I'll just cut exactly at that 12 inches. Okay, so this is it. Now Using either safety pin or your hairpin like this, you pass the elastic through the folding. So you can use safety pin to do this. So this hairpin is what I have handy, and it also works. So I'll just pass it through. So I have it here. So this is what I have. So this is it. Okay, this is my sleeve. So I'll go ahead and stitch this side. So that is at the wrong side. I'll stitch it. So I'll stitch it and also stitch the elastic. So by the time I'm done stitching it like so, I'll then join it to my blouse. Okay, so I have fixed the sleeve. So you can see what we have here. So this is just a quick puff sleeve. So I also want to just embellish the neckline. So I've cut out my satin. Okay, so I just sew, that is fold it and sew it, and this is it. So what I'm doing now is just passing my needle and thread at the center, so just like making a running stitch. So just keep, making the running stitch and pulling it. So that is just another way to make your ruffle. Okay, so because it's black, it's not really showing very well, but this is just what I'm making. So this is just what I'm making, ruffle like this, and it's the same way that I made this one. Okay, so that is just it. So by the time I'm done, I would knot my thread, then cut it out and use it to embellish the neckline. So for the length, I just cut out, I didn't measure it. So depending on what you want, if you want the ruffle to be very long, you have to cut out a very long fabric. Okay, so I just use it on the neckline like so. So this is the final outlook. So I hope you like this. Please give this video a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed, do hit on that subscribe button, and see you in my next video. Bye.